Thank you, Pavel, once again for the insightful presentation. And next on our agenda is a thought-provoking panel discussion that we entitled Global Business Services Trends, What the Future Will Bring. The session is experientially moderated by Ms. Samira Nuhanović, CEO of Softhouse Balkans, and Ms. Nuhanović will introduce you to our panelists.
No? Now? Yeah. Oh, whoa. Hello, everyone. Are you feeling energized after coffee, or do we need to do something before we start this? It's up to you. You're laughing. Good. Perfect. Okay, I'll introduce the topic. This is the first time for me to see the illustration, and I think it's very, very appropriate for what we are going to discuss. And Pavel, thank you for the presentation, because it was a perfect segue to what we will talk about. The topic says trends and what the future holds. It sounds a bit like we need a fortune teller or a crystal ball, but much better than that. We actually have 3 experts that will talk with me about this topic, and all 3 of them have very extensive, amazing practical experience in different companies. I will introduce them a little later, but let me just take 2 minutes to set the stage with the context within which we want to place this topic. Global business services, right? There are numerous ways to talk about trends within this topic, but there are 2 things that are obvious that have to take our attention. One is digitalization, and the other one is uncertainties in our environment. So if we talk about digitalization, I'm pretty sure that each company is thinking about it, doing it with more or less success, but it's on the agenda. And for it, it's no longer a choice, it's really a strategy. And it's not about tools, it's about having proper data, how to go about your digitalization. And for data, you need to have a plan, right? How to gather it, what to do with it, how to interpret it. And that's one thing, right? The other thing is the uncertainties generally. We just heard about the war and the pandemics, and quite frankly, it's a little bit too much, and I think it's a little bit too much for everybody, because nobody really knows what's the next thing. But what we do know that it's, uncertainties are part of our DNA now, the way companies function. So if we look at these 2 things, digitalization on one end and uncertainties on another, we have the playing field in between that is populated by different companies, a lot of which are from this global business service sector. And they need to be learning organizations in order to play this right, because the battlefield right now is not just the quality of your product, it's not just the quality of your service, but it's the experience that you provide to whoever is using your service. So they need to have value delivered to them at every meeting point. So what I want to do today is to discuss where these values are. And to do that, I am going to invite my fellow speakers. Veljko, coming from Serbia, representing the regional manager in Transcom, right? Yes. And that's all I'm going to say about you. You should sit, take a seat. Husejnović, somewhere in the back, growth manager at ZenDev, and also a CEO of their SEO tool, Robinize, right? Yes. Yes, good. And we have Naida somewhere, unless she took, oh no, she did not take off. Good, Naida, Vejo Rizvanović is lead program manager at Authority Partners. So very happy to have you here. Good. Cheetah is gone. You're the cheetahs now.
Am I the only one with a cheat sheet? Yes. Okay.
You're not.
Okay.
I'm the nerd of the group. Nerd. I have it all here. So we had a really nice one-to-one discussions in preparation for this panel. And I have to tell you, they will very much complement this topic nicely. But I want to kick it off with you, Haris. Yes. Your title caught my attention. You're growth manager. What is a growth manager?
It's the most common question I actually get these days, and yeah, these are like Benjamin Kadic also said, like so many cool titles in IT world. So when we were thinking about my next title there, like we went for growth because like everything goes around the growth, and we find so many like opportunities there to actually put everything in one title. And when I say growth, like it's not all about the revenue. I know we are here for the money, we do the job for the money, of course, but I really like people actually. So in this role, I got the opportunity to actually connect something that is usually hardly connectable in the IT world, and that is marketing and development. So with my background in marketing and with these new roles in IT world, I got the actual time and opportunity to get everything in action and really connect on that level in different teams and everything. So
when you say growth, if I understand you correctly, it's company growth, people growth, various functions related growth.
I just said, Naida, we were just talking about that, like in this coffee break, that it will sound like something too much. It's hard to talk about yourself in that way, not to sound too egoistic or something, but that would be like most appropriate, like definition of it. I mean, the focus is actually on revenue, of course, and in improving sales, understanding channels and opportunity, and like at ZenDev, we love data. We are data driven, and we tend to actually make decisions on data. And the biggest concern of every growth manager should be actually to understand data and get information from data, and then to act appropriately to actually see the opportunities, and not just see them, because the opportunities will come and go, and you have to know the actual and the best approach for every opportunity.
This is a panel on trends. So how do you know that you have the right information to plan your growth? Where do you get your info from? It's not a secret.
No, it's not secret. I think it lies in the actual experience and all of the work that we've been doing for every individual and every team that we've been doing for the last like 10 years or more. And that you are asking the right questions. That is like quite hard to understand and to answer, because the growth manager, or whatever you call it, actually has to know his business, and you cannot do growth if you are all about theory and everything, if you haven't failed, if you haven't done big things in positive and negative way, and the obstacles you will incur in that path, then you cannot actually be responsible for the growth, because you will have many problems there. So understanding channels, having actual experience or practice in solving problems, seeing opportunities, taking responsibility for making good or bad decisions and standing behind it, that's the actual like formula for knowing how to see what is on the table.
And ZenDev is how many people now?
Around almost 100, I think.
100 people. Yeah. So my next question is going to go to possibly the biggest IT company in the country. I'm not really sure, but there are 500 people.
Plus?
Yes, so maybe we can hear a little bit from you, how you got there, and what are the trends that are ahead of us for the IT industry in general. Like you are all over the place, basically, like in the States, in Turkey, here, like you have clients mainly based in the US, right?
And Europe.
So what do you know that maybe we don't know regarding the trends in the IT sector?
Obviously, there's experience. AP has been alive, growing for 25 years now. So obviously, a lot of experience comes from that. We've been able to adapt to change. We're very different company now than we were 10 years ago, in a very positive way. And also we create opportunities and we use the opportunities. So you need to be ready to jump on it. To answer your second question. So this is one of those opportunities, right? If I say anything other than AI, I would be bombarded probably. Here, yes, trends are going to be in direction of AI, and it's going to be there for a very long time, for sure. But I think it's going to be a lot more aside of just AI technology, and it's going to be about how we adapt, how we change, how we embrace the new era. Also about the talent, people, training. How do we make sure that our people now are going to have the skill set to drive us in the direction in which we need to go? Same comes, I think, in IT, I think we've been talking about agility for a decade now, right? And doing agile and transforming. This is really a true test to that. You know, if we were really doing a good job of trying to be agile in many different industries, this is a test, so let's see it.
That's true, and agile has become a staple food, so to speak. Everybody does agile, but it's one of those things that you really don't know what's the right way to go, because a lot of companies are being very pragmatic about it. Is it like, what's the next thing?
Well, obviously the industry is going to drive us in a direction in which it's going to go. The next thing will really depend on how you react to the new reality. It's an opportunity for companies to grow, to be very creative, to even promote, internally promote very creative people who are multidimensional. We don't longer get a luxury of having people who are, oh, I'm a project manager. Yes, by a definition, but you have to be, or you'll be much better, or your team is going to have more benefits if you're, yes, a project manager, but slightly psychologist and slightly few other things, right?
Yeah, but try to remember that multidimensional people, because I want to come back to that. I think that's a very, very good way to put it.
I'm giving you material, right?
Thanks.
I've done this before.
Veljko.
Here I am.
Yeah, good. We had a really interesting discussion when we met first online, where you shared a couple of stories that are quite a testament to the use of agile leadership within the company where you are at. Would you mind sharing them? Because they reflect your behavior in the times of crisis.
Yeah, why not? So first of all, I'm holding this microphone first time after 2 weeks. Last time I held it during the karaoke party. But maybe I should concentrate on to give you the answer, because if I start to sing, definitely you will be awake. So regarding agility, definitely today either you are working as agile or you're not working at all. Unfortunately, you already mentioned pandemic situation, war situation, etc. Can you imagine, for example, pandemic situation on Philippines and working from home from Philippines? So if you think that our infrastructure here in Balkan and Bosnia and Serbia and all other countries is not good enough, on Philippines, you do not have that at all. That means that, for example, in the home of average Philippines, you do not have like electricity, you do not have internet connection. And at that moment, you have around 10,000 people employed. And you have a lot of clients that are expecting for you to provide the service to them. So what to do? Those are the moments when you need to be agile. For me, agility means like you are thinking fast, you are making decision even faster, you are totally prepared on that you will make huge mistake, but you are totally fine to take that risk. At that moment, we will think about how to survive this. And then we came to idea that maybe we can use the help of the local hotels, because they are also in the deep problem with the corona. They also do not have guests. So what we have done, at that moment, we offered to the hotels to practically host all our employees. On that way, we have practically established internet connection, power supply, everything else to them. So practically they have just continued to work. And on that way, we have survived together. But that is just one of the examples. For example, something that is also totally agile in the time of pandemic. Somebody already mentioned mental health. And you all know how that was like really tough during the pandemic. At that moment, we came to idea, okay, let's put possibility to all our employees to give them like online psychology help. And on that way, practically they are in position that if they need that kind of help, they can get it from the people that are really experts for that. And some of the people are using that even today, totally anonymously. On that way, we definitely help them. Or even the last example for a few weeks ago, I believe that here accountability or taking responsibility or stress are still taboo topics for a lot of companies. And if I ask all of you here, do you have your tough job and is it hard for you? Probably you will say yes. And that is something that we have on the daily basis from all our employees. And we then came to idea, okay, maybe we should present to them some people that really have tough jobs. Because at the end of the day, I'm 100% sure that no matter what kind of mistake we made, all of us in this room, everything can be solved with one decent email or a call. What we have done, we have organized workshop with a pilot and with a cardio surgeon. So the people that really holding people's life in their hand. And practically they have explained what is the situation when you make a mistake in that kind of environment and how important it is to take responsibility at that moment. And after that, we have spoke with our people like, okay, do you understand now what is the responsibility and how important is that you are accountable and that you are taking responsibility fully. And we are seeing some really good improvements on that part of the story because everything is about the culture. So to get back to your question, at the end, just to repeat, like think fast, react even faster, and be totally fine to take the risk because mistakes are totally okay.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Some are really costly though.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you always need to do like sanity check. Of course, I will not tell the people to jump from the building. Or at the end of the day, message from that workshop was not, okay, people, you do not need to do anything, like you are doing nothing. No, just to realize the other part of the story and that everything is fine as long as we are normal in the way that we can take responsibility for our actions and our decisions.
The reason I'm asking is because when you go to the website of your company, the one word that appears a lot is brilliance. Brilliance in customer experience and so on and so forth. So I was wondering, brilliance is a tough word. And the type of job that your colleagues do requires them to personalize their services, but also standardized in a way to provide that brilliance.
Exactly.
Where is mistake possible? Where is tolerable? Is that difficult? How do you ensure that people actually keep up the standards while also deliver that personal touch to their customers?
Everything is connected to the preparations and to the experience. So right now we are mature enough to have enough knowledge to transfer that to practically to leverage that to any other of existing or new clients. With all the knowledge and everything else, we can prepare our people to train them, to provide them the support that they need, and then to put that statement brilliance, because it's really tough word. But I believe that all the numbers and all the satisfaction of our clients and their end users are the best possible example that is not just a buzzword, that is practically the fact.
It's very aspirational. I think it's great. And I will come back to you to talk a little bit about dynamics between smaller and bigger cities and people's reaction to working from these different environments. But I want to go back to Naida a little bit. When I was trying to understand exactly the structures within which you work, it all boiled down to me that your job is to lead the leaders within the authority partner structures. How difficult is that? Like, what are the challenges with that? Because these leaders are dispersed everywhere, and these teams are distributed, and we have to think of new creative ways to actually uplift the people and teach them how to lead themselves and also how to lead others.
Yes. Obviously, we were responding to a challenge a couple of years back when we were struggling to keep up the growth and scale our teams. And, companies choose different strategies. We've chosen this one, and it's a successful one. But obviously, it brought some of the challenges. Even from my position, I lead. I would rather say support my team on their path of growth and experience and everything else. And they're distributed, across the globe. So I think even when I came to start working with them, the biggest fact was, okay, how do we speak the same language? Yes, we obviously use English, but they all come from different worlds, different cultures. So the first step was, okay, we're going to install the culture of our team, which is going to become a room or a place you come into, and then we all know values and truths and you know, how we act and what are the rules of the game. And that was one challenge at the beginning. Now, year and a half into that, you have different challenges of making sure that the message is still being sent across, that we make sure that all of the people that work with teams convey the same message. We create a culture of absolute honesty, true visibility, communication, and everything else. So if there's one message that I'm trying to convey to my team, is that you have to create a culture of your own team and what works for you. And then once you have it installed, protect it savagely. Yeah.
At all costs.
Yes.
But it would be good to know, like, if you can think of an example when you had a situation where you needed to employ your agile leadership skills in keeping the team intact and culture safe.
Oh, I get that a lot. It's always a struggle. You know, obviously we live and work in operations, clients, challenges, everything that happens in a day. And then on the other hand, you have a team who rely on you, that you will guide them, support them, be there for them, etc. So finding, you know, a fine tune of meeting client expectation, and, you know, clients always want more. Like, you know, I want your program manager in every meeting that I have, and at the same time, they have a million other things. But then you basically practice what you preach. You put yourself in that position to try to manage expectation from both ends. You use it as an opportunity for your future leaders to hopefully learn from you. And then
I actually wanted to get that example that you shared with me, but we did not connect with minds right now. You mentioned a colleague who started working but was from another industry, and you guided that person through their career development. I thought that was a really nice example. So, yeah.
Okay, yes. Well, in my team, it's a large team, so you can imagine diversity of locations, profiles, backgrounds, and everything else. And when I joined, I had a team member who I took over the management position, therefore I'm responsible for their development, compensation, and everything else. And he said, oh, you know, I think we should talk. I was like, okay. So we had lunch, and I was there to listen. And he told me, look, I've been here for, I don't know, year and a half, 2 years. I'm a senior, and I need 30% an increase of my salary. I was like, good for you. I should have that approach. I knew his background. I've seen what he's doing in daily operations. And my first input was, I'm sorry to tell you, but based on my experience, you're not a senior. There's a path to that, and let's talk about it. And on that path, we'll make small corrections toward your growth, which will mean you move a step, we reward and create a path. And that was a year and a half ago. He's one of my best people now, which I'm extremely happy, and he's forever gonna stay my learning curve in my management career.
No, I think that's also a good example of when, you know, we need to stand our ground and say no sometimes, because no needs to be heard. Sometimes it's really important that it's heard properly.
I agree, but I think we also should no, simple no is not enough. Yeah. You need to give people a direction, an idea that they'll get there, and then they'll take the ride with you.
Which is why you're a leader, because you did that.
Well, someone recognized that a long time ago.
How does back to you? You come from a very specific background. If I'm not mistaken, you graduated English language, right? So communication and language is your strong trait. You worked in digital marketing for quite some time, managing operations of a very successful local company. And now you're bringing together sales under one arm, like, and marketing under another, like CEOing a brand new product. And you talk about people a lot, which is quite nice and fascinating. Why do clients select us here from this region? What are the skills that you think make us different, make us stand out globally?
With that introduction, I should always carry you with me to introduce me to people. So, yeah, that's quite impressive when you say it that way. I would say, like, I hate to talk actually about lower hourly rates and everything, but maybe it can be used in a positive way to tell that you can have quite lower hourly rates here when engaging with the Balkan people, but expect the same quality of work, even sometimes better, because people from these, like from the Balkans, like Veljko mentioned the karaoke, and now I'm just focused on the mic itself, so don't mind me. Yeah. No. I'm just trying to make a joke to do something more. Thank you. Like in that like quality of work, you can expect a real engagement from people who are working on your projects. I think that would be something that can differentiate us from engaging with people or how do you say it, like delivery teams or whatever from other markets, and that can be something that also, like, we are on the crossroads in Europe, and we are quite historically and culturally tied with the East and the West. So we are there in the middle, and it's quite like natural for us to understand the larger scope of culture and everything. And I know it's not something you hear like a lot when talking about business, but I think we should talk more about that, about culture, about people really engaging when developing. You know, like it's just developing is like behind us, you know, like you have to give more, you have to give much more benefits. We talk about also a lot about mercenaries and missionaries, like engaging in that way also is interesting to actually have people in the mission and not just people working for the money. So that is something that can we really use in approaching East and West clients, in my opinion.
That's true, and we are known for delivering an extra service, and you confirmed this as well, Veljko, that people at your company deliver superb services. But a few years ago, we didn't have the trust of so many clients, so we needed to prove ourselves. I was wondering, what's the initial call that they make? You mentioned, Naida, multifunctional, multidimensional people. Like in terms of skills, what would that mean?
Maybe I can use another example, but as a general note, you have these roles and people interacting with your clients, depending obviously on the client size and where they come from, what their business is. You basically have people who are intensively sitting in calls with clients and understanding their needs. So imagine a situation, your average developer, and again, I'm coming from IT industry, so that's going to be my examples. So you have an average developer who sits with business representatives of your clients, trying to understand what is the problem that they're resolving, right? And then imagine that person being very one-dimensional. Okay, I just do the code, I don't do anything else, you know, and that's it. Now, in comparison, take that person who's good in communication, good in listening, understands trends, has worked different companies, has seen different environments. Then all of a sudden you have a consultant on a call who's going to guide the client to a solution. So and then multiply that by 500, right? You create.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. So I think it's important, and I think especially for people coming from obtaining talent, is that we'll need more of these people who it's fair enough they come from different industries, but we give them a different, now we give them a different environment. And then you leverage those experiences and leverage those trainings they picked up along the way before they came to IT.
So we basically have to move from the I-shaped competencies towards T-shaped competencies, towards pie-shaped competencies, or whatever.
Absolutely.
And make it work for the
and
industry.
It's going to be a huge differentiating factor. You'll see that. You can probably see it even now. In your daily operations, I'm sure in your companies have people who you're really comfortable sending in client visit. Their developer, project manager, program manager, they do this and that, but you're very comfortable sending them into every meeting. We need more of that.
I call that human skills. They're perfect. They complement technological skills amazingly.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we start thinking about, I love what Professor Petrović said, that we're kind of engaging very young people to give them an understanding that this is an absolute asset. So yes, there's this technical background that you need to have, experience and everything else, but this is a cherry on the top, and it really makes a difference.
And if we add to that, one of the biggest trends, we just spoke about artificial intelligence. You know, we are, if we're smart enough, we are moving towards operational excellence. And I would want you, Veljko, to talk a little bit about how you integrated this in your operations. We tend to be afraid of artificial intelligence, but you tell us why we shouldn't.
Bad in karaoke.
Practice.
Thank you. I broke it. I made it. Woo! So definitely it's totally okay to be afraid from the artificial intelligence, because it definitely moves us from the comfort zone, and it's totally new. And everything, when something new is coming, it's totally fine to be afraid. And then it's totally fine to start to learn about it, to see what is it. And then practically when you realize and when you really understand what is happening, there is no need to be afraid. Right now, in the Transcom, we have one really, really good product that is practically totally changing presentation that I saw today, for example, from the Empower. It was a conclusion that we need more Scandinavian people that are speaking Scandinavian languages and different languages. Again, we are talking about the agile approach. In one moment, there was like a huge challenge. There is a huge demand for those kind of languages. What can we do? Let's use the technology. So practically we have developed a real-time translator, which is called T-Translate. It's practically doing translation during the written or vocal interaction. And it's doing in the real time, and it's practically doing with practically all the known languages at this moment. It's magnificent, it's practically the game changer. And the first impression of the people was, wow, now we are going to lose our job. No, you're not going to lose your job, because with that, we will resolve all, let's say, low-value interactions. And we will put with your experience and everything that you know on something that is much more complex, that is bringing much more value to the company, to the client, and to the people that you have interaction on the daily basis. And practically it's a win-win solution. On one side, it's really like huge cost cutting on one side, OPEX cutting. On the other side, it provides you opportunity to really provide outstanding customer experience by really focusing on the real problems. Not like with the question, for example, I don't know, where is my item? I have ordered it a few days ago, in which status is now. So that is something that you can get the answer from the bot. But if you have some more complex question, then you will get the complete help from the real person.
And that's the perspective of the employee. But from the perspective of the company, can you place that into that dynamics of small cities and big cities? What does it mean for the employment?
For the employment, it means that, for example, I can employ someone from the Chinese to write on the local language and to have direct interaction in real time with someone from the Sweden, for example. Regarding complete story, like small cities, etc., Transcom is here in Bosnia for the last 3 years, and we didn't came to Sarajevo. We came to the Tuzla. And it was in the toughest moment because Corona just started. And Sandra is with us. She was with us from the beginning. Practically, they have worked for first 3 months without seeing anyone officially from the Transcom. So can you imagine that situation? And she's still with us. So probably we are good. In the smaller environment, you are getting really the people that are fully engaged and proud with their job and with their company. And engagement over there is much bigger and much more easier. And again, for that, we also done the really good preparation, like exploring the market, etc. And that's why we are still over there and we are still growing over there. One day, maybe we will come to Sarajevo, but in this moment, with those 3 cities, Tuzla, Zenica, and Banja Luka, we are fully satisfied, and there is a promising future.
It's really good to learn and hear that you're using AI to actually help you scale and conquer different customers. I want to go back to you, Haris, and talk a little bit about collaboration between IT companies across the region. I have a feeling that, you know, we often talk about the potentials, but we also say we are the small market. We're very small, we're not interesting, we cannot get bigger customers and clients. Maybe it's different for authority because you are big generally. Do you collaborate? What do you think about this? Why don't we? Can we aim for bigger clients if we join forces?
Should we talk about like collaborative innovation or just collaboration between like local companies?
Let's start by collaboration between local companies. Does it happen? I have no idea that it happens. I know that it happens to a certain degree for some customers locally. I'm not sure internationally, but do you have any different information?
Maybe I can give you like my opinion on that because like I think that in IT industry, what I can see right now that different from other industry, from my own opinion, people in IT industry actually like co-founders, founders and CEOs have quite good relationships and talk a lot and exchange opinions, okay, some of that is just PR, you know, but still like collaboration is happening. But the thing is, I think that most of us work on the same markets, and I think that we just need to use ABSL or some other clusters or associations to actually reach out to bigger projects, to get to much bigger opportunity where we can actually do something together. But because at this level, like we are all doing for our own companies and we try to exchange leads that we cannot cover. We do that actually. I don't know if the other companies do that, but trying to actually do something in collaboration with other IT companies, I think that would like need a bit something that we cannot bite on our own. So that could be a great opportunity for the market itself. Like,
I'm just thinking that we should be more ambitious with clients. I have a feeling that we adjust to the demands that are coming from our clients, but maybe, you know, try and think beyond. And possible challenges there could be ways of working because, you know, as I said, agile is interpreted in various ways. Veljko, just quickly back to you before I forget this question, because you have experience in insourcing and outsourcing. Are there 2, 3 truths or things that you learned from insourcing that helped you a lot in outsourcing? And why should, like, if you can imagine a company thinking whether it should, you know, do something internally or outsource, why should it outsource?
Okay, maybe I will give you just a short background how I made the decision to go to the outsourcing. So I was born professionally and grew up in the in-source company. And I believe that all of you were in position to watch the Lord of Rings movie. And probably you remember how the hobbits were talking about Mordor. The way how hobbits are talking about the Mordor, that's the way how the in-source is talking about the outsource. And I, as a Bilbo Baggins, had the idea to go over there to see how it's worked. And can you imagine, I really like
They trapped you.
I was still over there. So the biggest difference is like in the outsourcing, of course, cost part is really important for every company. So from the OpEx cutting position, it's a perfect solution. On the other side, in the practically, unfortunately, in almost all in-source companies, for example, customer care is a cost center. And it doesn't need to be cost center. It can be like everything else, but not the cost center. So from the outsourcing, you are getting like much better flexibility regarding the culture, because that is like the biggest obstacle when we are talking about that companies are thinking that they will not have that culture that they have in-source and outsource. It's not the truth. For example, if you ask a lot of our agents, what is their company, probably they will tell you that they are working from some of our clients. And I really do not have a problem with that, because that is the only way that they can be the really brand ambassadors and the voice of the companies that we are supporting. So in this moment, I see a lot of opportunities on the outsourcing side, because at the end of the day, we are again coming to the agile story and flexibility story, and I'm quite sure that in the in-source, of course, depending on the size of the company, strategy, etc., regarding that kind of support, everything is much more slower, and every kind of flexibility is practically died at the beginning, which is not the case here. Here, if you create really the good partnership between the companies, you can really create a culture and get everything from what you expect from the in-source and much more. And at the end of the day, again, we are coming to that part of the cost, which is totally different in the outsourcing industry. I believe that. Yeah.
We have come to an end of this session. I hope you're still alive and not on your phones. I haven't really had a chance to check. I enjoyed it very much. If I were to summarize this session, I would say be afraid but walk the path. Go first and lead your people. Bring the unbringable things together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.